the skinwalkers play. We're gonna wrangle chickens and hogs all day. Best your own life is the best. Eggs and chickens, plus all the rest. Video game insanity, and cooking plus fitness, fishing, hunting and more. Come on down to the ranch. Skinwalker Ranch.
Alright, so here's the ranch back at you, and this is the long-awaited 5.45x39 video. So I figured I'd talk about the history of this cartridge with me, the history of this cartridge in America, as far as as far as it's been around, or as far as I've been able to buy it, the history of the AK-74 imports into America, and really, yeah, that's about it. This is a SLR 104FR. This is a very reliable gun. This is probably my oldest 74. I bought this when they were first announced. And no, it was a little bit after they first, because I had to work. I was just out of high school, and I was working a shitty job as a grocery store bagger, basically, sacker. So I saved up for a while I was in college, my first year of college, and this was one of the first guns I bought when I was actually 18. And I've had it since then. It's 10 years old now. Probably the first, I want to say February of 2014 is when I got this gun. It has had a lot of ammunition shot through it. A lot of 7.6 back then. Mainly now, in recent years, it's had a lot of like commercial Wolf and Tula shot through it. This gun probably has between 10 and 15,000 rounds on it. It's ate several cases of 7.6. Let's just say that. The headspace is fine. It won't even like budge on a field gauge. I've not tried it with a no-go. I just have a field field to keep around. Sorry, I got a little bit of allergies. There's a lot of tree and like plants blooming right now. I guess because of all the rain we've been getting. But yeah, this gun is very special to me. I will never get rid of it. I like it quite a bit. It's got a Zenico, I believe it's a B10L basis system lock handguard on it. I've got just a Streamlight. I believe it's a TLR3 sitting on it just for the time. It's a pistol lock, but I just have it on there. Take up the rail right there. The top rail is a Russian plum AKS-74N style plum top cover. The stock is just the Arsenal commercial 4.5 millimeter AKS-74 style folding stock. Well, the actual AKS would be hollow here. It'd be a triangle metal. There's several varieties of them, but this is the trunnion is an AKS-74 trunnion, not a AK-74M like Sega's would have. So in other words, it just has a slightly more of an angle here, and this pin that holds the stock on is smaller. Not a big deal. They're pretty. They function mechanically the same. The only difference is a very slight difference in angle, and I believe the Russians went to that simply because it was easier to manufacture. They didn't have to cut more down. I don't think it was a durability thing, because you never hear about the 4.5 millimeters ever having problems. So I don't imagine that. It happens to have a AIM 74, or I'm trying to think of the proper name. PA-88, is it? PA-89? The Romanian 74 magazine. These are common with SAR-2s. It's really cool. You don't see many metal 74 mags. I have a few of these. They're neat. And I have a few Tantal mags that are steel too. They're pretty cool. So I kind of had it in there just because it looks neat. It's got the Arsenal plum Bulgarian grip. So it's got like a lot of different shades of plum. We got US plum on the stock, Bulgarian plum on the grip, Russian plum on the handguard, top handguard, and then I spray painted the B10L Zenico handguard plum too. So we got a lot of different shades of plum going on. And you know how like the Scar has a million different shades of FDE? Well, this has a million different shades of plum, and I think it looks great. I got a Russian actual 74 sling on it, too. Kind of a battle-worn, neat one. But back to it, it's got a primary arms, older generation Cyclops. I got this scope basically in a trade, and I kind of like it for how simple it is. It's a Chinese ripoff of essentially a Prism, an ACOG, and it's pretty high quality. Like, I'd have to say, this optic, when they were new, they were like $400. Now I think they're on sale. You can get them for around $2. It's a 1x prism optic. It's got the ACSS reticle, yeah, for actually 4.545, so it's actually set up correctly. I have it on an RS Regulate side rail mount, which kind of gets in the way of the folding stock, which isn't great, but it is what it is. You can still fold it enough to like fit it under a car seat or whatever you're trying to stow it in a range bag or something. The only thing I don't like about the B10L Zenitco handguard is you can't use your cleaning rod, which kind of sucks. I wouldn't have got it when I knew that, but I got it right when Zenitco was getting cut off, and yeah, there was no way to get anything else, so it's just stayed on it. And I don't mind it. It's pretty nice. It just took a lot of fitting to fit. This was a pain in the ass to get to fit on this gun correctly, because it's meant for Sega receivers, really. It's got the standard Arsenal brake. This gun's had several different muzzle brakes on it. I've shot it suppressed before with a, and it did okay. We ran it with one of those flash mitigators, the Strelas. They're Ukrainian. It did okay, but with the Strelas and with the suppressors, it did overgas the gun. But that's just something you're going to deal with AKs. It is going to overgas. To some extent, but yeah, this gun has been shot in matches. It's been shot by friends. It's been through the ringer. I've actually touched up some of the paint on it. Back here, it had a big scrape because Arsenal paint's really not anything to write home about, especially on their newer stuff. My milled Sam 7's actually worse than this, with paint coming off in some areas, but it doesn't matter. It's an AK. Another thing, with the standard Arsenal brakes and 7 and 6, this one like has a little bit of rust in it, because the brakes are not chrome lined if they're the Arsenal US made 74 style, a long collar, which this one is. So this is really more of an AK-74M style brake, but whatever, it's what Arsenal ships on it. And I don't want to go through the hassle of finding a $180 chrome lined zigzag East German brake or Russian brake to put on. I believe the zigzags were the first gen 74 brakes. Anyways, back to this gun and how it relates to the American market and whether anyone should consider these or not nowadays. My thing is, if you're a collector and you have to have an AK-74, then by all means, pay the $2.5, $3 to get one of these. I don't recommend the PSAs for a lot of reasons. Go watch I believe M26 Lemon Grenade. He has a good list of reasons to avoid PSA AKs. I think their ARs, if inspected, their ARs are a good value, as long as you ensure they're not crooked, their barrels were not installed clocked, anything like that. However, their AKs are a different story. I don't think they've got them down yet, and they won't until they change some certain things that they do. And then they might be worth getting. But right now, as it stands, I think the best course, if you want a 74, if you like Romanian guns, you could get a SAR 2 for about $900 to $1,000. They're really good guns. They're military quality. They feed from standard 74 mags, but they're supposed to have these steels. They don't have muzzle devices. You'll have to end up hunting a special 22 millimeter Romanian muzzle device down, or you could just be non-traditional and have it threaded 1/2 by 28 and then do whatever you want with it. That way, that'd be a way to go. If I was, which you really shouldn't be because the ammo's outrageous, but if I was a penny pincher and wanted a 74, that's the route I would really go. But if I was a collector, I'd save up for either an SGL 31 or one of these and get it if I had to have a 74 that I was going to collect. I have another one of these actually that has only been shot about 500 rounds. It doesn't get shot. It's the hunting cabin dryer. Clothes are done. But yeah, anyways, the these guns came in at a very interesting time, the 104 FRs especially, because 7 and 6 basically was getting to be very popular, and then it was banned. So Arsenal sat on these guns for a while because people really wanted them until 7 and 6 was banned, and then they did not want them. I always wanted one of these as soon as I knew about them. I thought it was going to be the coolest thing ever. The time I didn't know about the variances, I thought it was just going to be a Bulgarian AK-74M, but it was going to be complete from the factory with the folding stock, no bullshit like the SGLs had where you had to pay a lot more to get the folder and they didn't have the grip plate on them. I was super excited, and I actually got one as soon as I could afford it. And yeah, it's been a very, 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 very good gun to me. It's held up fine. The trunnion wear, there is some wear like you would expect, but it's definitely nothing to worry about. Especially at a gun that's shot as much as it is at this point. The rivets have held up fine. You can actually see how nice, because the rivets are all proper. Like the one back here is flat like it's supposed to be on the side folder. So is that one. That's the only round one back here, and it's the long rivet. Center support rivet is perfect like it's supposed to be. You see these rivets have a little bit of a flat right there, but they're fine. Very pretty. The pin that holds your spring catch for the stock is really nice. Very, very high quality. The gun, the sights are dead on out of the box. Very, very, very nice 74. And that's why I recommend, if you're a collector, just save up. It's horribly painful, I know, and get one if you have to have a 74. Now, if you don't have to have a 74 and you just want a small caliber AK to shoot with, I recommend getting a 5.56 AK. I recommend probably the barrels, or if you want to spend $1,500, that's the military grade go-to right now. I would go with, honestly, above anything else. There's SLR 106s out there, which have the same quality control as these, which are excellent. And they're in 5.56. They're basically just this gun in 5.56. If I was going to shoot one a whole lot, that's what I'd probably recommend. Either that, or the route I went and go with Sega 223. And depending on how you convert it, you can use so many different magazines in it. And it's a super reliable AK-101, basically, once you get rid of the FUD stock. Or keep it if you like the FUD stock and you want to have some kind of weird mini 14 AK thing. You can go with the Sega 223. But that's what I'd recommend. The Chinese guns, the magazine situation's awful. I'd avoid those. The SAM 5s have a bad overgassing and soft receiver problems. I would avoid those. Arsenal won't talk about it, and they get very mad if you do talk about it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, the SAM 5s are not worth what they're costing, especially with the QC issues that some of them have had. I had a SAM 5, and honestly, it was fine. It was just kind of canted, the sights were, and it did nothing special. Honestly, I bought it and the AUG around the same time, and it was around this time when Russian ammo got cut off, so I wanted some piston 5.56 guns I could shoot a lot to go with my ARs, so I got both of those. At the time, I would have just got the AUG and went and got the Sega, because I got the Sega later, and not have went with the SAM 5 at all, because it's nothing remarkable. It weighs too much. I would avoid the SAM 5 unless you can get like a deal, like $1,200, maybe $1,100 would be okay, as long as you make sure it wasn't one of the ones that was beating itself to death. I think the early 2020 guns from like November of that year were fine. The 2021s is where the shit starts really getting bad with them. But yeah, 5.56, probably a Galil Ace, honestly, if you were going to really shoot it in a lot of competitions, is what I would go with in 5.56. They make Aces in 5.45s, and those are great guns too. I can't say enough good things about the Galil Ace. In all honesty, it's on the budget eventually for the channel to get and review a Galil Ace. Probably in 308. That's the one I'm really wanting. But anyways, that's my thing on whether you should get one or not. If you're a collector and you have to have it and you want to shoot the super low recoil, because there is a difference. Like, there's a very mild difference, but there is a difference between shooting an AK and 5.56 and 5.45. The 5.45 literally feels like shooting a 22 with a loud noise. It sounds like a centerfire rifle, but the recoil impulse is 22 LR like. You can literally just hose down a pie plate size target at 50 yards with this gun and keep it complete every round in that pie plate, pulling the trigger as fast as you can. Very low recoil, especially with the 74 break on 74s. That's one of the coolest things about them. The cartridge is still on par with 5.56 with lethality. I've killed plenty of hogs with 5.45, especially 7 and 6 over the years. It does tumble. Maybe not to the extreme that it's talked about, but it's not FUD lore. It does tumble, and it does look like a 90-pound hog in East Texas gets fucked up by 7 and 6, like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, this poor old girl's been shot a bunch, in almost every conditions you can imagine. And it's been very reliable. I like 74s, although I'm going to say they should not even be, like, if you're a survivalist type guy, or you're preparing for the end of the world, or you're a hunter, or a sports shooter, you should be looking at 5.56 guns. At least have 4 or 5 of them before you start getting interested in a 5.45 AK at this point. Now, 10 years ago, I wouldn't tell you this. I'd tell you to get the 5.45. It's a great gun. But with the way the market is and the way the ammo and the chances of getting shitty corrosive ammo that's being sold at a premium now is ridiculous. And the Hornady ammo is great. It's expensive, but it's very accurate. I've shot a bunch of it, the brass case stuff. It's reloadable. I love that. I can reload. I have the dies to reload 5.45x39. I love the Hornady stuff. It shoots about a little under 2 MOA out of this gun, like 1.8 something, and that is fantastic for an AK. It's very accurate. My gun loves that brass case Hornady. But that's about all I could say. 5.45 isn't dead. It's on life support, though. You got limited ammo choices. Hornady is pretty much right now the only new manufacturer that I would recommend. The Tele ammo stuff is corrosive and very expensive and very, very inaccurate from what I've heard. I'm not buying any of it because I don't appreciate how it was marketed. And that's just my thing on that. A lot of the Wolf stuff that's still in Tula's still floating out there. It's okay. The Tula's just underloaded a good bit. You're going to end up getting like 60 grain projectiles going about 2750 with the Tula stuff. It barely just tumbles out of my gun, so you can tell it's pretty weak if it barely tumbles out of an AK, a military spec AK. So yeah, it's pretty lightly loaded. I like the Wolf lacquer cased stuff that the Barnaul lacquer case stuff Academy sold for a long time. I have a whole lot of it. It was great. It was made by Barnaul. The Barnaul Wolf stuff's pretty good. I have a good chunk of that. And the Golden Tiger is probably my favorite commercial. The cases, it's not the most accurate out of this gun, but the 59 grain stuff, but the cases are beautiful. They hold up well, and it tumbles in wild hogs almost as much as 7 and 6 does, which the others still tumble, but not quite as much. So I quite like the Golden Tiger commercial grade stuff. But yeah, I like 5.45. I just don't think it's a cost-effective option if you're getting into guns now. It's something you probably want to get into when you can afford it, when you have several other guns that you can rely on for hunting or self-defense or whatever needs you have before you get into something like this. But I do recommend you would probably save your money and be better served by getting a 104FR or a SGL 31 or a SAR 2, even a Wasser 2. You could probably find a Wasser 2 for $7.99 if they're ugly guns. They kind of have all the Wasser cosmetic things going on with the dimpleless receiver. A lot of them don't have muzzle devices because they were imported before the ban was lifted. But even those are a good option if you're more inclined to want to look at 5.45 at a budget, which I don't think is the best idea, but I can't tell you what to spend your money on. I just know I like it, and I would recommend this gun to anyone. It's been a super reliable gun. I don't think it's ever had a malfunction, at least not that I can remember. I have kept it pretty clean. I don't believe, even though it's an AK, I don't believe in letting guns just get covered in friggin' carbon. Like, it's already bad enough if you let a 74 break sit there for like 500 rounds, but if you don't ever clean it like past 1,000, it'll start to carbon lock and all kinds of other shit will start happening, and I don't like it. So I keep them pretty clean even though they don't really need it. But yeah, I love this gun. If you can get one at a reasonable rate, do it, but do not, like I said, try to get into a 74 for your first rifle, or like even third right now, I'd say. Get something else. Get something in 5.56 and something in 7.62x39 first. Something in 308 first. And then maybe look at this. Get you a good like hunting / home defense shotgun and pistol first. You know, not hunting pistol, because you can hunt with pistols, but I've never done it. And the most I've used for hunting out of a handgun is like putting down hogs that are in traps with like 10 millimeters and 45 autos and 9 millimeters. That's about the most hunting with handguns I've ever done. And it works fine for that, but of course you're, 5 yards away. Of course it's going to work fine. But yeah, I've rambled on long enough. The state of the market for 5.45 is pretty poopy, but it is what it is. I'm never getting rid of mine, even though I know a lot of people are trying to get rid of out of 5.45. I like it. I still have enough ammo that I can shoot it occasionally. Even though I try to replace the ammo with new production as soon as I can that I do shoot, or I'll try to shoot the worst of the worst ammo I have, the crap, to get it out of the pile and then replace it with better stuff. But yeah, that'll be it for this video, and I will see you guys on the Skinwalker Hidden Valley Ranch next time.